Scream 6 is a 120-minute horror movie that just came out in March 2023, and it defies the conventional expectations of the genre and manages to capture your audiences with its unique approach and by subverting expectations right from the opening scene, where we see who the killer is, which kind of spreads out the pacing with diversive kills and embraces that Gallo-inspired style. Also, most Scream movies have kind of repeated the same tropes over and over and over. It's wash, rinse, repeat. So getting to see, an interesting opening that's different. They're, of course, referencing horror movies with a film professor on a call and one of her students is trying to kill her. And, we've seen stuff like this, but, you gotta acknowledge that they're doing something different. They're having a unique spin, and then they reveal who the killer is right away, only for him to be taken out. So I think that is kind of a unique bit of subversion of expectations. It builds tension right off the bat because that's something you don't really expect. I thought that, Scream 6 was pretty well paced and it had diverse kills. The film's pacing is carefully crafted. It ensures that viewers are going to remain engrossed throughout the runtime instead of relying on a single killer with a singular motive. Scream 6 is presenting a series of diversive kills that is going to keep guessing you and keep getting you to wonder who this is. The strategic approach prevents the film from becoming another monotonous entry in this saga. I thought Scream 5 was okay, but I do think they kind of highlighted technology a bit. There was a huge gap between Scream 4 and 5, so it was safe, but I kind of like that this one is different. It's set in New York City. It has a different style to it. And, by embracing the Gallo style, it really does feel different. One of the film's strengths is it is set in New York City. That's different. Most of the film has been set in Haddonfield. You're kind of used to that setting, but by putting it in New York, you're able to have different set pieces and different suspenseful sequences executed very well. One of my favorite scenes in this is a scene in a bodega where the girls run and they're saying Ghostface is after them. And the tension is heightened because in previous films they've been in isolated areas and it kind of does feel like, classic and cliche. But here, there's actually a nice spin where they're trapped in a bodega with tons of people and then the killer comes and the police are right outside. But, they get trapped in the store and the store owner's killed and then Ghostface grabs the gun and there's this great sequence where he's stalking them through the store with a shotgun and the music's playing over the speakers. It's just a really great example of how you can subvert your style or how you can change the Scream genre or make things different. By putting it in New York, they also have great bits where people are being stalked in their apartment penthouses. And I like that. I thought that was kind of fun. And it honestly does the good thing with what a sequel should do, which is change things up, and don't just repeat the same formula. It also has better character dynamics. I think that there's so many characters in here. There's a whole abundance of characters. And that's kind of what Scream is known for. They always have a huge cast that just keeps sprawling and expanding, but as cheesy as it can be to just introduce an FBI agent in 1 second and then have her be oh, I've been, watching your case. It feels a little silly, but I think it works because they're constantly just keeping the pacing flowing, If you had stopped and dug into character development, it would feel like it's such a stop and start pace, but the movie introduces characters and then goes right to the next point. An FBI agent will be introduced, and then they'll go right into the next murder. And it has a very good flow to it. And I think because of that, it isn't a boring movie. And it successfully has this kind of different style than the other Scream movies. It really does have this just, likability to it. I really like the characters. I like that they increased the sister dynamic between the main characters, Melissa Barrera's character and Jenna Ortega's characters. They actually add depth and they add this kind of conflict with her being the older sister reeling over her boyfriend's death in the last movie and trying to take care of her sister, but the sister, wants to be left on her own. And they really do a good job of building a kind of consistent plot where she has to let her sister go or let her go on her own. And that builds to a great climactic showdown at an old theater in New York City. And it's just really well done. There's ways you could have done this where you could make it kind of sluggish, or you could make it does have a silly ending that I think everyone kind of sees coming, but it doesn't bore you with it. And also the kills are very good. It is very practical. There's some really neat, gnarly stuff in here that just works as opposed to other entries or other horror movies that just don't have the pacing this film does. So honestly, this film works because it has very good pacing, it has a good change in its setting, and it just has good character dynamics. And because of that, it honestly works, and it works even though it has some things that, like too many characters or a very convoluted storyline. It manages to streamline that, and I enjoyed Scream 6. So I'm excited for the seventh one. It's probably going to come out in less than a year because the turnout time for this was insane. Scream 5 came out, January 2022, and this one was March 2023. So they could probably shoot this like this year if they wanted to. I mean, I'm impressed because they're Marvel films that take like 3 years and the screenplays are so bad, but this one actually was fun and fast paced. So that's all you need from a horror movie. So let me know what you guys think, and if you're excited for Scream 7.